but you have some new music out now.
Yeah. Well,
you got to tell us a little bit about that.
Well, man, we put an album out in 2021 that was called Appalachian Soul Man. And I'd been going around for a long time going, I'm playing Appalachian Soul music. And people were like, well, what's Appalachian Soul music? I said, man, you don't understand. There's like a rich history of like soul and R&B in Appalachian. They're like, whatever, man. Give me some bluegrass.
Yeah.
And so one day we're hanging out and I'm talking to the guy and I was like, oh, Appalachian, like you mentioned the guy earlier was a soul man.
Yep.
And I said, oh, yeah, Appalachian Soul Man, Aristotle Jones. And it just rolled off my tongue so smooth. People were like, oh, I get it now. Ding.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And so so from there, I was like, well, I'm going to put out this album. And so I had a collection of songs that, had a mix of blues and a little bit of gospel, a little bit of singer-songwriter stuff. And it was a lot of my influences. And I put them together, and I got a chance to put that out right after the pandemic.
Nice.
And then I worked with West Virginia University as a student-run record label, and I signed with them to do a release of 5 singles. One was, it started off with a song called The Talk, which, I mean, if you guys are familiar with The Talk, obviously it's a conversation that a lot of black parents need to have with young black children, just to be like, this is how you're going to navigate life, stay alive in certain situations. And in Appalachia, it's even more important because you see more people that don't look like you than that look like you. So almost every interaction has some sort of peril in it. And but what I realized after the murder of George Floyd was nobody talks about like rural black experience. Like it's always like inner city this, and that's a very prevalent, black experience in America. However, like, man, that wasn't my experience growing up. And in my experience, it was like, hey, man, I want to drive out to a campground. And people are like, nah, you don't want to go out to the campground. And I would have conversations with people, and they would talk about places like St. Louis or D.C. or Detroit or somewhere like that. And they're like, oh, man, there's complete sides of town you don't want to go to in those cities. And I was like, look, man, there's a whole town one county over in West Virginia that I didn't want to go to because I would be nervous. And so I was like, man, there's not really any music that speaks to like the rural black experience, especially in a time when language is needed because all of the country was like devastated by something that happened.
1, 2, 3. When I was 11, my daddy said, hey, let's take a little walk. You're becoming a young man, it's time we had a little talk. He said, everyone thinks you're cute now, cause you're just a budding twig. But the same people won't feel the same way when you start getting big. I say, Daddy, why you so worried? Why you got that look on your face? He says, son, now this is important. I'm just trying to keep you safe. Because no matter what you do, this world is gonna fight you. And I wanna make sure you can make it home every night, son. Cause your life matters. Cause your life matters. He told me about he and my uncle, the wrong time in the right part of town. He told me how the man in blue said, I ought to shoot you both right now. He said he was just about my age the first time he heard that line. And then the man in blue said, you better get before I change my mind. He said they used to joke about how everyone's black down in the coal mines, and how we wish they felt the same way when the faces hit the lights. You can be more than perfect and still do everything wrong. He said you got to live to fight another day, son. You gotta keep on keeping on, cause your life matters. Cause your life matters.
So in my music that I put out, I really try to show a perspective of love through the struggle And so I write a lot of music about love between, you know, romantic love. Of course, you can hit that on the head real easy. But I like to think about that as like romantic love, like in the midst of the civil rights movement. Whenever you're like, how in the world could two people fall in love? When they're just getting water hoses shot at them and dogs sicked on them, and then you gotta like, oh, you want to go out to get a soda next week? You know, like that just like or in the 70s when like everybody's trying to figure out how like what is the black family? You know what I mean? In the 80s, and it's like it's kind of a decimation of the black family through the war on drugs, and so I took all these genres that were prevalent in kind of like the community, and I said, well, I wonder what people were listening to while this love was happening, and I started to explore those and make music and blend those genres together to create a new sound. And then lastly, I speak a lot about love between like yourself and your community and your love for yourself and your higher power, which ultimately draws to your connection to being present and alive. And I think that's where like a lot of the gospel roots came through. And I grew up singing in the church, and I would go to church with my granddad, and it would be like one of those old churches that's just like one room with like a piano in the corner and those hard wooden pews, and almost the whole room is, you know what I mean? Like, and everybody's clapping and shaking and tambourine and like, so those elements of love are prevalent through my music, even though like on the base level it's like, oh, he's singing love songs, but the message and the intention behind the music is rooted in the legacy of black music that would lead up to me actually being here. And man, if I can be part of any of that, to provide that to anybody, man, like I get a lot out of it just being there. But that's deep, that's the musical experience I think that that I came up with doing porch picking with my granddad at our family reunions, or going to the church, or even like discovering the blues music in the classic rock, or listening to my parents' records whenever I put it on and hearing the riff from the hip hop song that I learned, and it was like all of this stuff was just like blew my mind.
My mind gets tired sometimes. Sometimes my body gets weak, and the demons that I find, oh, they start to conquer me. And I said, oh, my soul, I pray that rock and roll will be my savior. Oh, and I'm just struggling to get out what is in my mind. And I said, oh, dear Lord, please forgive me for my bad behavior, my bad behavior. 'Cause the righteous path is the hardest one to find. And you gotta get away from you, gotta get away from me, gotta get away from us. Now hold on, you trust no one else to turn to for love. Gotta get away from here, gotta get away from there, and nobody cares if everyone's scared to love. And I daydream sometimes, and I get surprised to open up my eyes and see the sun shining warm and bright. And I reach up just to make up mine. I say, oh, my soul, I pray that rock and roll will be my savior. Oh, and I'm just struggling to get out what is in my mind. And I say,